Now, folks, on Unloading the Box Truck, we don't have a jingle yet, but some would say that could be our new jingle, as I was just jingling keys. I'm here, Scoochie Dean, with Dill Pickle and D Money. Fellas, how are we?
Great.
Amazing.
I say great. Not a great weekend for the old Jayhawks.
No,
I've
absolutely
had
not.
an amazing weekend.
Pickle is a huge K-State fan, and he is loving every second of right now.
That's all right, though. That's okay. That's okay.
You guys want to dive right into the tournament?
I would love
Love
to.
to.
So, the first concept I want to bring up is the Big 12 for real, or did they just get slapped in the face?
Well, where I'm going to go with this, early on, I told Dylan, I don't know if Dylan, you remember this, it was at a morning workout, I said, this Big 12 conference this year has the makings to either have 4 teams make the Elite 8 or 1 or 2. It's not, every team was obviously good, but when those teams were good and they played very bad, they played very bad. So you saw teams like Iowa State play terrible. And I mean, the other teams that were in it, obviously enough to get past the first round, but I think they're still for real. For real.
Well, this is a trend over the past couple of years with the Big 12. They historically, or at least the last 5 years, haven't, as a group, played well in the tournament. They've always had 1 or 2 teams play well. Obviously, 3 straight years with a team in the national championship, 2 straight years of teams winning it. But I think in the past we've seen teams like Baylor lost in the second round last year. Obviously, KU made it all the way, but we had teams lose early. There wasn't multiple teams. I think Iowa State made it to the Elite Eight last year, but it's not been a thing for the Big 12 to really show up as a group necessarily in the tournament. I think every year it's just been one team plays really well and goes the distance. And there's 2 teams still alive. Texas is playing well, obviously biased. K-State's playing well, but I don't know which one of those 2 has a better chance. But I think this has been kind of honestly the normal path for the Big 12. But I have been disappointed with.
Well, I'm just saying because where I was going with it is the fact of we've talked all season about let's get 8 in. We didn't get 8 in. We got 7. I know this is something that happens every year, obviously. This year I thought it was going to be a little different. I thought they were a little bit more team basketball, but they also had the athletes to do it with the team aspect behind it. So I thought they were better teams. I mean, I don't know to say that they were bad teams. It just did not play well down the stretch for multiple teams in the Big 12, obviously.
Well, I think, Iowa State had some things going on. Caleb Grill left the team. No one really knows what was said there, why he left. It kind of happened. He made a post about it, whatever. TCU's had issues. Eddie Lampkin, their center, he left right before the Big 12 tournament. Apparently some things with the coach, that he wasn't agreeing with. So maybe some things are going on there. I think with those 2 teams, something was going on. West Virginia lost a close game. KU lost a close game. So, TCU was up by 10 at halftime against Gonzaga and just kind of fell apart in the second half. But Iowa State that was bad.
I guess another part of where I was going with a little bit is have we been underplaying how good the SEC might be?
Well, the SEC Big 12 played each other in the middle of the year. They had the SEC Big
Right.
12 tournament, and the Big 12 won that 7-3 with Alabama losing by 23 to Oklahoma.
I guess maybe it's just different teams hitting their stride
And
at different times of the year.
100% what it
Which
is.
that's really what this tournament is,
Yeah.
to be quite honest with you.
So maybe KU was just a little bit premature.
Yeah, but as a KU fan watching them, I never thought this team had a shot. And maybe that's a bad thing to say as a KU fan, but they play without a big man.
Yeah, but I mean, there's teams that have won it without a big man.
Okay.
I think KU's biggest deal is KJ Adams stepped up. He played well enough they could win it with him. They had no depth. They didn't have a guy come off the bench.
Well, right, and then once you get in foul trouble, it kind of takes KJ Adams
Exactly.
out of the equation. I told myself last year I don't think KU could ever, and I'll go on your point. If you're going to play with a big man who you think's a big man, which is what they essentially think KJ Adams is, I told myself last year, I said, we're not going to win a national championship with a big man worse than Dave. KJ is not as good as Dave, in my opinion. So I see where you're going with it. You're right to an extent, but I also think any team with Jalen Wilson and Juan have a chance to do a lot.
Yeah.
See, I want your take. So you guys are KU fans. Do you think Grady Dick is ready for the NBA?
No.
Grady Dick wasn't ready to play in the NCAA tournament.
That's what I don't
I thought
understand.
he was non-existent.
See, my thought was all year that he was going to come back next year. And now what I've been seeing is that everyone thinks he's going to the draft and he's going to
They've
be
been talking it for
15 pick.
3 to 4 weeks that he's gone. I think the latest mock draft had him at 11.
I don't see it. I see the potential. I do.
Yeah.
I think if he'd stay for another year or
Here's
two.
the one thing I will say about Grady Dick. A lot of shooters don't defend great. I mean, look at Tyrell Reed. Look at Brady Morningstar is a guy who does defend decent. Not great lateral speed. He's a good athlete. Don't get me wrong, but he's not your typical, typical guy who's going to guard a guard. He's a shooter and he's a gamer.
Yeah.
But Grady Dick hustles his ass off. Like he's after every board. He does those little things. So I think he has a shot to make it, but I don't think he's ready yet.
That's what I just don't see it. But
Here's my thing. KU is going to have some leverage here, I think. If they can pull together an NIL deal big enough, they're going to have some leverage.
good.
Because the thing with him is, and you look at him and Jalen Wilson, you look at their situations. What's different about them? Why is Jalen falling to the second round in the mock drafts? Because Jalen Wilson obviously doesn't have. He has the option to come back, but he's not going to. He's already said that publicly. So the NBA teams are like, hey, we can get him for cheaper, so why not let him fall to the second round? Whereas Grady Dick, they could possibly give him a bigger NIL deal to keep him from the NBA. So the NBA teams are like, hey, we're gonna have to draft this guy high enough to get him a big enough signing bonus to say, hey, let's go to the league.
I've said this since there were glimpses in Grady Dick's game where I had seen him play up to that potential. And what I mean by that was, he is after every board. Everybody says he's a sharpshooter. I never watched a game where he controlled dominantly shooting.
No, early.
Yeah, there were a couple early, but
Early.
when I started watching him, I was like, he's got to be able to make a shot here down the stretch. And the reason why KU loses this game, we're just outplayed in the second half.
No doubt. Well,
Like-
they were up by double digits at halftime. No,
I think up by like 6 or 7.
Yeah, but it was double digits at one
At one
point in the
point.
second half,
First time
right?
all year KU's blown a halftime lead.
Yeah.
They were undefeated.
Weren't they 16-0?
Like 23
20,
and 0.
23-0. Okay.
And leading at half.
Like little mistakes, like DeJuan Harris getting that 10-second call,
Dude.
walking.
I hated that.
Yeah, I've seen that people. Did he cross?
And don't get me
he
wrong.
crossed right at 20. He was. No, I don't care. You're walking from the top of the key, very slow and methodical.
Nonchalantly.
Free throws, huge thing.
Oh, we would have won the game if we knocked down 4 more free throws.
Yep.
And I think, we missed 12 in the second half probably.
And you could say foul trouble.
I
Both
say we.
teams had foul trouble. Not. I will say though, I do think the officiating of this tournament has been terrible in my opinion from watching.
Here's my thing with the officiating thing, though. If it's terrible, be terrible all the way around, and I think it has.
That's what I'm saying. I
Be
just think on paper
consistent.
It's been terrible.
Nonetheless, though, not enough depth for KU. Now, K-State playing some good basketball right now. Little guy is going off.
This is what I was going to say earlier. Was I think that K-State Kentucky game was honestly set up. It was exactly like the KU Arkansas game. The Wildcats controlled, had like a
Which ones?
6 Kentucky.
Wildcat
sorry.
on Wildcat crime.
Yeah.
Kentucky had like anywhere fluctuating in the first half between like a 5 to 12 point lead throughout the whole thing. Had the lead at halftime, and then it was perfect just for K-State about halfway through. K-State takes the lead with like 4 minutes into halftime or whatnot. So and then it just set up that way that whole game. Yeah, Marquise Noel or is it Noel?
Noel.
Dirty.
Well,
Yeah.
neither team could hit an outside shot all game. And then
I missed the second half.
It,
Yeah, and Deontay Johnson was off too.
Toppin, he's got guard. Kentucky's really long.
Yeah.
Their point guard 6'4".
Yeah.
And so I thought that was going to be a big issue for K-State. Oscar Tshiebwe, one of the best rebounders in the country. So I was kind of worried about that. But, I mean, obviously when you have a smaller guard like Marquise, and Keontae hadn't seen that length, and he did. He struggled. He was missing everything short. K-State and Kentucky both were missing wide open shots that they don't all year. And then it came down to the end of the game, and Marquise hit 2 threes to kind of to get it back within one. They were down by 4. Kentucky had all the momentum. He pulls a 3 from the logo and hit it, and he hit another step back 3 to take the lead, and then Ish Massoud hit one, and then Keontae hit that step back to seal it. And then it came down to free throws, and Marquise is a 90% free throw shooter, and he ended up.
How big is he?
5'8".
I thought he was pretty little.
He's not.
We'll come right back to the Big 12. I want to talk about 5'8" guys. How about number 2 from FDU? Holy cow!
The team's fun to watch.
Yes, smallest team in college basketball this year.
Yeah.
Beat the biggest team in college basketball in Purdue. Isn't that guy like 7'4"?
7'4", 7'5", yeah.
He's humongous.
Big.
But that's what their offense runs through. So
yeah,
you shut him
but they're
down.
out rebounding them.
Yeah.
They're just it's hustle after hustle after hustle.
Yeah.
What's wild about FDU is they didn't even win their conference tournament.
Which is crazy because did you hear about this, Scoochie?
Did not.
So they're in the Northeastern Conference. They play in the conference title against Merrimack. Merrimack is in their transition phase from Division II to Division I, and the NCAA prohibits anybody making the transition a 4-year, kind of like a layover segment.
So that Merrimack won and couldn't
So
play in the
Merrimack
tournament?
won and couldn't play in the tournament because they're basically on a dead period, if you want to put it that way. So FDU gets the shoe in, ends up beating Texas Southern in a play-in game.
Well, here's the thing. I'll touch on this real quick. I think if this year more than ever, you won the play-in game, you saw the momentum you get from winning that game. Look at Pitt.
Oh, yeah.
So, Pitt, FDU.
But here's what I will tell you. In the second half of the FAU-FDU game, you could tell where they started to fizzle out.
Yeah.
You could tell they're rebounding everything. They're making a run. They're up by 5 or 6, and then FAU makes a run and then puts it right back and tied the game. And then next thing you know, FAU is up by 6, up by 9, whatever. And then it was just out of reach for them because they just ran out of steam. So, yes, I can see where you can get that momentum from the play-in game, but I think they came down from their emotional roller coaster in the second half of the FAU game, and they just didn't have enough steam, which is tough because they're fun. Like Dylan said, they're fun to watch.
Well, every Cinderella team is.
Right. Well,
So-
that's the story between 4 Cinderella teams is they get in, they beat a team, they win some games, but they don't have the depth. And I think that's the thing. Everyone talks about the superstars and all that. That's never been an issue for Cinderella teams or FDU. They can play with the top end guys. It's when you're bringing in another 4-star, another 3-star off your bench to play that
That's where
role.
the separation
And
is.
then they can't do that. And they have to play their starters the whole game. And they can beat a really good team once, then they'll go play another really good team. They just, like you said, they did. They ran out of gas in the second half of that game because they were down at halftime. And they had to do a lot to get back up.
They were down by 7 at halftime,
Yeah.
and then they're leading by, 6 at some point?
They had to do a lot to get back ahead, and I think it burned them out. And
Was Davidson considered, when Steph was there,
Oh, yeah.
were they considered
I think
an
they were
underdog?
10 seed, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of times what you get with these Cinderella teams is like look at Furman over Virginia. They win, and then they lose by 20 in the second round.
Yeah.
Like you see their true colors in the second round.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times that's what ends up happening. I mean, FDU, second round.
Yeah.
So,
Now, the thing I will say about FDU, which is kind of impressive, so that coach that is there, kind of an interesting guy.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, nobody knew about him until the tournament. He just came from a Division III school, right?
And 2 players with him.
Three.
Three? Oh, three.
Three.
Yeah.
Two of the players were both starters
That's right. Yeah.
and played number 11 was one and number 2 was the other one
Yes.
that played a bunch, and they are those suckers can
Number
play some
11
ball.
can play.
Yeah,
He's
he's
the
like
reason they beat
6'4"
Purdue.
guard.
Yeah.
That can do everything.
He's the reason why they beat Purdue.
Yeah, yeah. But going back to and speaking of Cinderella, how about Mizzou just shitting down their leg against Princeton?
See, Princeton's different, and we talk about teams that don't have depth. They actually have some guys who play their role off the bench. They have two bigs they start with, but then they bring in another big who can rebound and defend. Can't score like the other two, but he can replace the defense and rebound. They still have, I think, another guard that comes off the bench. They might actually be, we saw Loyola go to the Final Four when they went on their run. Obviously, Princeton would have to beat Alabama, but they play Creighton. They can beat Creighton. And then,
I mean, at this point, anybody can beat anybody.
and that's exactly right. And that's what Jerome Tank said is when you get this deep into the tournament, seeds
Don't
there's
matter.
no number by any team.
No.
Now it's because everyone's playing really well. It's just whoever has the better night or whoever can, maybe get a call or two to go their way late, something like that.
Or just hit down those uncharacteristic shots that they haven't hit all season.
That's true. Yep.
There's multiple different things that could happen. But
I will say this, though. Only my dark horse is left.
Texas?
No.
Creighton?
Tennessee.
Oh, yeah. Now, I do think depth is going to hurt them, too. Coming here close. I mean,
I agree.
they're a good basketball team. They've been a good basketball team.
I think they make the Elite Eight.
Who they got?
FAU.
Yeah, I can see it. The only does and I haven't watched much Tennessee basketball. They got a big guy.
Dude, they got two
Two?
dudes.
Okay. Yeah. They defend pretty well, don't they?
Yeah, like
They just don't score the basketball great, right?
they have they got the number 1 3-point shooter in the SEC on their team.
Vesca, what is it?
Vescovy.
Yeah.
And then they got two big dudes, and both big dudes score. One's like a foreigner. I mean, he's just a big, tall, like 6'10" guy. He got in foul trouble early against Duke, so he did not play most of that game, and they still won that game. It was close at times, but if you watch that game fully, you felt like Tennessee had it the whole time. The way I felt
Second
like.
half, yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
I thought Duke was gonna. It was close at half.
Yeah,
I thought Duke had some momentum, but not enough.
their defense. Good
Back
stuff.
to the Big 12. Who we got left? We got K-State and Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Texas has who?
No, Houston plays Miami.
Let's just look it up. Texas has who?
Xavier.
Yes,
That's exactly who it is.
it is.
And
That's going to be a good game.
I think so. Xavier's one of those schools like me, like Marquette. Like they're always good, but they don't get any like big mainstream TV time.
Right.
So you might not know. I think what is that, a 2 and a 3?
Yes.
So I think that's going to be good. And from what I've seen, Xavier's pretty good. Xavier can score. They had some guy made like 5 3-pointers in the first half.
Yeah.
Which that's also another thing that going into these games. If a team is on, that's the team that's going to win. And that's a lot of times how Cinderellas win. Their 3-point shooting's on. They're able to
Well,
make
the
the
three-point
shot.
shooting is huge for the Cinderella teams. I mean, look at when you and I beat KU.
Yeah.
Loyola was a good three-point shooting team. Villanova kind of got their identity, like coming up through making themselves a blue blood by fucking hitting three-pointers. Like,
St. Peter's last year.
yeah,
That one guy just would put up any shot and he'd make them all. So
yep. Before we get off here, I would like to go through the 8 games and do our picks. Who we think could go.
perfect.
So leading off in the South bracket, the top part of the 4 teams left: Alabama, San Diego State.
See, San Diego State shows some glimpses here, but I think Alabama does take it. I think they win by about 8. That's my guess. I'm not going to give you an exact score. If I had to guess, I'd be like 74-66 is my final for that one.
Ooh, that's a good synopsis. I think anytime you got old boy Miller, you got the best shot to win. Obviously, he's 6'9" guard that can do everything.
Yep.
I just don't know how well they match up with him.
Yeah.
Now I will say this: it's March, and San Diego State. I doubted them before, so anything can happen. I didn't have them getting out of the second round, so I could be wrong. But I agree with you, Alabama. I'm taking Alabama.
San Diego State plays very good defense.
Yes.
Those dudes guard. And if it comes, like we said, every game's different. If one of them comes out and they're hot, the way they play defense travels. And, I'm going to take Alabama because Brandon Miller is
But
different.
don't be surprised.
But San Diego State is a team, if it's close at halftime and they can get some energy going back into the second half, the way they defend, yeah, it wouldn't shock me if they beat them. But I think Alabama, they're the better team, and they're
Right.
playing the best right now.
Next up is Creighton and Princeton.
Creighton.
Agreed. I haven't watched enough. I didn't watch either round of Princeton, but obviously they played well enough to
Princeton's good.
beat
They're tall.
Arizona and Missouri.
Tall, lengthy, they can shoot, and they got two big guys, and they defend well. They're really good on the glass. Rebounding, they're exceptionally well at. I just like Creighton because Creighton has a very good. All Creighton teams do. Under
Mr. McDermott.
senior, he's not a senior, but I call him senior but
Because of Dougie.
they all know how to score, always. If there's one thing that Creighton does, it's score. So I think they'll find a way, and I think Creighton's got that one.
Agreed.
I'm going to take Princeton. I think the Cinderella.
Here's what I'll tell you. I don't think that's a bold take, though. I think
No.
it's. I mean, I think it's okay take.
The normal march. We need somebody to move on to the Elite Eight. Somebody that's wasn't supposed to. And
Maybe we should just contact the NCAA. It's already scripted, so we
That's
should
what
just
I'm
ask
saying.
them.
I'm saying. I'll take Princeton.
I like that. Probably the most scrambled up part of the bracket, the East. FAU, Tennessee.
Tennessee. FAU has surprised me. Them beating Memphis first round was pretty wild to me. Good for them. They were 15.5-point favorites over FDU.
Beat them by 8.
So I think Tennessee's defense will prevail in that game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to depth at that point. You're so far into it. I think Tennessee's got the better overall squad, and I think that's who takes the cake.
I think FAU has shown struggles on defense sometimes against better guards. Tennessee doesn't have quick guards. They're a veteran, though. I think Tennessee's a
Savvy.
little older. Yep, they've been in here. I think Tennessee wins, and I think they win pretty convincingly towards the end. I think FAU is going to maybe run out of steam in the second half, but
Yeah, that's what I think too.
but they could. I don't know. They're dangerous, but I like Tennessee right now. They're playing really well.
Now for everybody's hope of Kansas, the state of Kansas moving on. Kansas State versus Michigan State.
K-State. The tricky thing is, Mr. March, Tom Izzo is always going to have his Spartans going.
Here's my opinion. Is Jerome Tang a good coach? I know he can recruit. We're going to find out how good a coach he is against Izzo. In my opinion. If they win, I mean, if K-State wins, I think it's like, hey, Jerome Tang's the real deal. And it's not to say he's not the real deal, because he's legit. I mean, he's turned that program around in 1 year, literally less than a calendar year. But we're going to find out how legit he is.
Well, I think that's what he's beat Bill Self.
Mm-hmm.
He's beat Bob Huggins. He's now beat Calipari. So he's got a chance to beat Izzo all in his first year. I mean, that's a resume building up. Plus, make it to the Elite Eight. I think the intriguing thing here is K-State has 4 guys on their roster that are from New York. This is in Madison Square
wow.
Garden. I was telling Scooch this morning, Marquise Noel hasn't been home in 3 years.
I heard that on the.
So
the
Get
broadcast
a
the
chance
other
for
night.
those guys to go home. I think Michigan State has one kid from New York.
So it's funny you say this because Michigan State does have a kid from New York, and Izzo was joking around on the broadcast yesterday after the game. He was kind of actually crying.
Yeah.
And I don't even know the kid's name, but he's like, I told so and so to take us home, and when we get there, with your NIL money, you're buying me a piece of pizza, one of those big ass piece of pizzas. So it was just kind of a joke.
Yeah.
Everybody was on the Twitter world was going off about it, buying pizza for the coach with the NIL money, but they do have somebody from New York. I think that'll be probably the game of next weekend.
I
think
so.
next Thursday, Friday, that's the game to tune into, in my opinion. So, moving up to the Midwest, Houston, Miami.
Miami is also a team that is very hot.
Yes.
Watching them play, I am very impressed with them. To win handily like they did over Indiana.
Is Houston healthy?
Yes.
Yeah,
Marcus
okay.
Sasser played last game.
Okay.
And played very well.
Okay.
Yeah, that being said, I still like Houston. It's hard to go against them. But man, I think it'll be a lot closer than people think.
Here's what I think is going to happen. I think Miami wins. I think Miami takes Houston. And I think it'll be really close. It might even be an overtime game.
Haven't had one of those yet.
No.
Nope.
We haven't had a buzzer beater yet.
Not yet.
I think
Need some more one shining moment memories.
I love Nigel Pack. Plays for Miami. Played at K-State last year.
Oh, yeah.
Big fan.
I thought I recognized that
Love
name.
Nigel Pack. I also really like Houston. And Nigel Pack struggles defensively. Houston has two very good guards. And Miami and Wong, their guy, he's their dude. Miami's playing very well. But I think it comes down to can Nigel Pack match up defensively with either Mark. I'm guessing he'll probably guard Jamal Shed. I don't think he's going to be able to do that for a full game.
Now, old boy that rolled his ankle in the conference championship game is back, right?
Yes, and he hurt his groin.
Oh, good
Yeah,
Lord.
that's Marcus Sasser.
No, from Miami. Didn't Miami have a guy on a free throw rebound turn his ankle?
Oh yeah.
Is he-
Michael Jordan.
Oh, Michael B. Jordan?
Great
No, Creed 3 out now, folks. It's pretty good.
No, I'm pretty sure Miami had it, but I think
They
I saw
could've.
him warming up the other day.
They
It was
could've.
literally like the first 2 minutes of the game in the conference championship.
Yeah.
Anywho, sorry. I didn't
I've
mean to
watched
get you off.
Miami play. No, I mean I've watched Miami play a couple times. I've watched Houston play. Like I said, I mean I agree with you on the K-State Michigan State that it's going to be a great game, but I think Miami Houston is possibly the game of this week. Man, because Miami can shoot and they can score, but I think it comes down to defense because Houston's long and athletic in their front court, but their back court's so good. I think Houston's going to win.
Okay. Next is Xavier, Texas.
That's good. That's gonna be a shootout for me. Whoever's on from 3, you're winning.
Here's why I took Miami.
You took Miami and the Xavier,
No,
Texas.
no. Hold on. I'm circling back to where I took Miami. Here's why I took Miami. I took Miami because I think Texas makes it to the end, and I don't think Texas can beat Houston. Does that make sense? Because Texas would play Miami
I understand.
if Miami won.
And
Does
yes,
that make sense?
I see where you come from.
Because I think Texas makes it to the final.
Okay.
So obviously I'm taking Texas. They're too athletic.
Texas.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think they were the most athletic team outside of Baylor and some stints that KU played this year.
Yeah.
I mean, when the freshman for Baylor was hitting, Baylor could have possibly been the best team in the country. But Texas, I think, is the most athletic. Mm-hmm. And with athleticism comes natural defense because, your
Yeah.
ability to move and defend is.
And their backcourt's pretty good. Their backcourt can
right.
shoot.
And Timmy Allen's back, right?
Yes, he's played the whole tournament. I don't know what you guys think about this. This Texas team reminds me a lot of the KU team from last year. They're veteran. They got guys. Remember last year in the tournament, Jalen Wilson averaged a double-double. kind of wasn't a guy all year. We knew who he was. He had good games.
I wasn't a fan of Jalen Wilson
Right.
last year.
And then he comes into the tournament, and it's like, oh, here's KU for next year. Dylan Dessou for Texas
Yes.
is the one who's kind of turned it on out of nowhere. Timmy Allen got hurt going into
Yep.
the Big 12 tournament. Dylan Dessou has
Somebody
turned
had
it
to
up,
step up.
and he's given them scoring from their big men. They've had it, like you said, their guards have been great this year.
And you think about it, to add to your comment where Texas and KU were very similar, think about who came off the bench last year for KU. Didn't Remy come off the
Yes,
bench?
Yeah.
Serge-Abari Luke, or whatever his
Right.
name is. Rice.
And I saw, dude, Remy Martin was absolutely unbelievable.
Oh, he was
Why
bones.
him and
dude.
Jalen Wilson were why they won the national
Yeah,
championship last
exactly.
year. Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think that's
What. Now, I'm not saying Texas wins it. I don't know. We got to see that.
that's where I'm going now that my guys are out.
But
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, just watching them play, they're very veteran. Marcus Carr has stopped shooting threes. He hasn't been.
Love
making
what he's
them
doing with his hair, by the way.
Yes, he is. Tyrese Hunter, their two guard. He has shot I think over 45% from three, in the last since the Big 12 tournament. So he's been on. Like I said, Dylan Dessou going crazy.
And here's something else to look at. You can talk about KU going through their struggles with Bill Self not being at the tournament. Think about what Texas has gone through this year. It is crazy. Chris Beard gets in his scandal. I don't know whether it's true or not. That's not up for us to decide. Think about how much adversity they've gone through just this year.
Well, and then Chris Beard
1
gets
year.
hired.
Yeah,
Right.
right in the middle of you making your run.
Just everything. You're like, oh. And I think after that happened, I think they looked at him as the possible glue that made them who they were because they went on like a little losing stint a couple
and they
games.
weren't playing bad.
And then they flipped it on and were like, we don't need him.
Yeah.
We are the team that we are. And never looked back, in my opinion. Just
Now, are they taking the interim tag off of old boy, Texas?
I think they have to.
Yeah, I
The way
would.
No,
he's-
did they? I mean, have they
I
yet?
don't know if they officially.
Dude, there's no
have.
way that they can say, "Oh, thanks for this season,
Right,
but we're
that's-
hiring
I
somebody
agree.
else."
Yeah, he has to be the guy for next year. He's been on that staff, so it's not like he.
Hadn't he been there for like 20 years?
yeah.
It wasn't even just Chris Beard's
No,
guy.
that's right. Yeah, he is.
That's incredible.
No, I love Texas. Well, I don't love Texas. I don't want to say that.
You like him in this situation?
I hate Texas.
Oh,
But,
horns down.
but I do.
I think they win the national tournament.
I like them unless they play K-State in the national championship. I like them to win it.
I still like Texas because I think they can beat K-State.
I'm biased.
I know you are. Next up, Arkansas, UConn.
UConn. Now, Arkansas played great. And while we're talking about Arkansas real quick, do you guys like their coach at the end of the game?
I thought that was ridiculous.
Like, ridiculous? Like, come on. Like, you're a
Yeah.
grown man.
You're a head coach at a Power 5 school in possibly the second best conference in America, and you didn't finish last in that conference. There's no reason you should be surprised
Yeah.
by winning a basketball game. Now, people can say I'm an asshole for that, but, like, come on.
I like everything I see on Twitter was like, oh, you got to like how much like enthusiasm and heart and emotion he shows. You can do all those
Channel
things
it.
without taking. Look at Jerome Tang.
Or Tom Izzo.
Channel it.
And like those people love their passion as well. Like,
Yeah, Izzo and Jerome.
I've never seen Izzo cry, and he cried
Any-
this weekend.
Exactly.
you don't
And Izzo's had some unbelievable teams.
like
Yeah.
getting up on the box thing or whatever. Like that's fine, whatever. If you want to shout and do your school song, taking your shirt off was a little too far for me.
Well, and I think the other thing about it is it goes to show how much other people, and it does and it doesn't, but I think it goes to show how important beating a team like Kansas is.
No doubt.
It absolutely is.
Absolutely.
KU, especially right now, is the pinnacle for college basketball.
Which and I don't see it that way because I'm a KU fan. I'm like, oh gosh, I just hope we win. It's other teams are like, oh, we got freaking Kansas this week. Hopefully they don't run us out of the gym. Which in my aspect, I'm just like, man, hope they don't play their A game because they could beat us.
Yeah.
You know, so it's crazy for me to think like that. But that you're right. As a trying to look at it as an outsider looking in.
And I don't think anybody played this down, but the loss of Bill Self, incredibly.
They win that game if Bill Self is there.
I think little things don't happen.
And that's not to say anything bad about Norm.
No,
He did a
no,
great
no.
job.
And me and my old Papa Scooch were talking when Arkansas went on their little run where they score. It was like 8-0, and like
Needed
they
a
actually
timeout. We
they
didn't
needed
call.
they needed to take the timeout 4 points before that when we still had the lead after they hit their first 3. Timeout.
Well, and the other thing that happens, I wonder if Norm isn't the substitution guy on the bench. I wonder if that's his job. Because you can definitely tell that we did not have the right personnel in the game at times.
A lot of
that we wanted because he's worrying about other stuff.
Correct. And
Like for example, Uday, right, gets his 4th foul with 18 minutes left in the or was it big man 24? Gets his 4th foul with 18 minutes left in the second half. That's not KU basketball.
yeah, like you. And that's what I'm saying with like the fouls and everything. Everybody was in that, but like little things like that were just like if you have Bill, where he knows he needs to call this timeout. He knows when lack of depth, like we talked about. He knows, okay, I think I could steal 2 minutes here to get KJ Harris on the bench
Right.
and save 2 fouls. I know that I could take Jalen Wilson out right now, and I can steal 3 minutes and then put him back in when I need him to have fresh legs and be able to make free throws down the stretch.
Clements doesn't have to play 5 minutes.
Correct.
Oh, Clemens shouldn't have seen he shouldn't have taken his warm up top off.
So like little things like that are a huge blow that I think all just roll up into one. You know what I mean? But
And to be honest with you, number 1, I can't even pronounce his name. Little guard that
With the
transferred from
dreads?
Drake. No, that's I don't remember his name.
Oh, I know. Okay.
Guy that transfers from Drake.
Yes.
I don't know that he should play as much as he did either, because those 2 guys come in the game and they're just like they're guards, they're ball handlers, and they haven't been in the game, so I feel like they need to do something to take over a little bit.
Escafew or something like that? Right.
Yeah. Yeah. SFU. Yes. I don't know.
Yesufu.
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 Yeah. What's 0? Bobby Prediford.
Yep,
Pettiford.
Pettiford.
Yeah.
I think he could be something.
I thought he was a transfer. He's not.
I think he can develop into something for us.
I see him jumping in the portal.
Yeah, I think he could. He's only a sophomore.
I think he goes mid-major and brings a team to the tournament, kind of how Quentin Grimes did. Now, Quentin Grimes went to a good team.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But I see him jumping in the portal. Because remember Quentin Grimes, I don't know if you remember. Do you remember Quentin Grimes' pickle?
I do.
Terrible. Terrible for KU. Had some flashes early.
He did.
Terrible for KU, though, overall. Goes to Houston and lights it up, and now he plays in the league.
Yeah.
So,
We didn't finish. So that was just me touching on. So
UConn.
Arkansas and UConn.
you think so?
Yep. I like their.
I had UConn in my Final Four.
Okay.
I had
them beating KU this
I had
round.
them beating KU this round.
I like
as
UConn
well.
too, because I don't. I mean, a lot of people don't talk about how much emotion goes into this and how much effort or how much energy that takes out of you. And I think they got on their emotional high. Obviously, they had to beat KU. So I think their hangover is this game, and I don't think they make it past UConn. So last game of the Sweet 16, Gonzaga UCLA.
Zags. UCLA is good, but this is about when they fizzle out every year. So I'm just going to roll with that trend, and I'm going to take Gonzaga. I think old Timmy. I like Timmy.
I don't.
I don't think they get it done. I think UCLA wins.
Really?
Yeah.
This one's really weird to me. Because
He's been so good leading up to this year and then this year.
7 years. He's been there for 7. They've made it to the Sweet 16 7 straight years with him.
With Timmy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible. He's like the Mitch Lightfoot of the
He
Gonzaga
is.
Bulldog.
But he's played every year, and he's been good every year.
I know. He's a bucket.
See, I thought the most surefire thing in the world was TCU was going to beat him. I thought, and they were up by 10 at half. I was like, here they go. Because TCU has the guards, they have the length, they're athletic. Timmy didn't let it happen. He turned it on in the second half, and he brought Gonzaga back. I don't know, because you're right. UCLA, this is when they kind of fall apart every year. But then Gonzaga, other than the year they played Baylor in the national championship, this is when they fall apart every year. And I just don't know if they have the shooting to. But I don't like Gonzaga. I don't know why. They've never played K-State. I don't ever see the hype in them. Everyone hypes Gonzaga up. They don't play anybody all year. They don't win national championships.
No, they don't,
And
which is crazy.
So I'm like, why is Gonzaga just automatically talked about as a top 5 program? What have they done? They don't deserve this.
yeah.
So I'm going UCLA just because screw Gonzaga. They don't deserve it. They don't deserve to get the hype. UCLA has history.
I
I'm
don't think
taking the
I don't
history.
think Gonzaga is athletic enough to guard UCLA.
That could, yeah.
I could see that.
Just my opinion. Out of who's left, who do you guys think wins it all?
Bama. Bama's the most surefire top to bottom team right now. They're rolling, they're complete, and they're hot. That's the way I see it. That's also what I had in my bracket. Now, like you said, it's March.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. But we'll see. I think they're the one cutting the nets down in April.
First day of spring ball for us that night.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah.
When's the
Big day.
when's the last time the number 1 overall seeds won the whole thing?
Ooh, that'd be a good question.
I don't.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Who do you got?
There are 3 teams left that I really think can do it. Houston and Texas. Obviously, they have to play each other to get to the Final Four.
In 2006.
Is the last time the number 1 overall seed won it?
Hold on.
Florida?
When was the last time number 1 overall seed won the NCAA tournament? Number 1 seeds squared off in the national championship game only 5 times since '85. This is total between 1 versus 1. Last time was in 2008 with Kansas beating Memphis to win the title.
They weren't the number 1 overall seed, though, were they?
No, this was 2 number 1 seeds also made it to the final in 2005.
I think North Carolina was the
North
number 1 overall
Carolina
seed that
taking
year.
out Illinois to become the champions. I don't know.
I don't like Alabama. I do. They're good. Brandon Miller's really good.
But I don't know if they have enough to go with them. To win it all.
Right.
They have enough, obviously, to get there, I think. I don't know. I saw Alabama play in person this year. I watched them play Ole Miss at Alabama. I don't think they have enough to do it. Just my personal opinion. I think Texas or K-State win, and that's me being a big-time homer. But I think both of those teams could do it. And I think just solely K-State just because they're going to get on a run. Texas so because they're athletic enough to do anything they need to do to win.
I think if K-State's going to win it, I think you're right. Houston needs to beat Texas. And then I don't want to play Texas again if I'm K-State. Now, granted, we didn't sweep them. We split with them. K-State split with Texas in the regular season, so it's not one of those things. But I'd rather play Houston than Texas. Maybe. I don't know. K-State's got to beat Michigan State and somebody else. They got. You just don't know with them.
Well, everybody's got a road that's not easy at this point.
Yeah.
So, other than, I guess, Alabama's probably got the easiest road to get there with a 5-6 and a 15.
So they got to play Princeton.
Nah, I don't think.
Why are we not? Why is no one taking Princeton? What are we? We don't think the Tigers can do it. That campus is electric.
Which one?
Princeton?
Yeah, they're all in the library.
Limestone and brick, ladies and gentlemen.
So we knew this was going to be a little bit longer of an episode. What we need to talk about really quickly is World Baseball Classic.
Love it.
So we have that, and we have XFL.
XFL.
Stuff.
We'll run through XFL real quick.
Okay.
Quarterfinals.
I've got XFL stuff up right now.
All right, let's run through XFL real
We
quick.
knock them out. My Sea
Vipers finals.
Huge. My Sea Dragons, 3-game winning streak, going 21-14 over the Roughnecks. Handing the Roughnecks their first loss. Roughnecks now 4-1. Sea Dragons 3-2. DC Defenders over the St. Louis Battlehawks, 28-20.
They really got their running game going.
Defenders are now 5-0. Incredible. Guardians 0-5 against the Vipers. Now, I will say, Dylan, I watched this game. The Vipers did everything they could have done to lose this game.
Classic.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
The last minute was so... I looked at my dad and I said, if you gave a team 56 seconds where the other team only has one timeout, they are up by 3, and they are inside their red zone, if you would say there is a shot for the other team to win without a turnover, I would say you're crazy. But that's what happened. I guess they turned it over on downs because they threw the ball. They threw the ball twice, actually. Renegades over your Brahmas. Brahmas are now 1-4, Dally.
Yeah, we're struggling. I will say we have the Renegades next week again.
Yeah, which is pretty odd that they do it like
Yeah,
that.
I don't know if it's just like I don't know why they're doing that. Obviously, it's
In
opposite
10
locations.
weeks. So now do they?
No, they don't flip it because not everybody plays the same person they played this week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think that's just how the Matrix fell. But I will tell you, the Renegades couldn't do a bunch
against the Brahmas.
Yeah, so it's good defense. The problem with the I watched this game last night. The problem with the Brahmas, we don't have a quarterback.
You've said that since day one.
I know. So Jack Cohn, old Notre Dame guy, it was our starter to start the year. We get some.
He was a Wisconsin guy too, right?
Yes, transferred from
started
Wisconsin. Yeah,
Old
Graham Mertz stole the starting job.
Now.
Yeah, chomp. He was our quarterback to start the year. Then we bring in some guy. I want to say San Diego State guy.
Ooh.
Who
Kawhi Leonard.
No.
Oh.
Played
He's so sick.
played really well. Was kind of electric a little bit for them. Then last night in the second half, gets hurt.
Oh, so Cone went back in.
Cone had to go
and
back
just
in.
shat
And
down his leg.
here's what I think about Cone. Cone reminds me of Jay Cutler. Just goes out there and doesn't give a shit. Oh, terrible.
Dude.
Well, and you can see it in his eyes. Like when he's out, he's like, I'm half drunk right now.
Been there.
You have?
Yeah, I was driving down Central.
Never mind.
Don't drink and drive, kids.
Anyway, so we could struggle. Now, I don't know what the rules are. Maybe we sign somebody mid-season, let Jack Cohn play for a game while this guy learns the system. I don't know.
The Browns signed Patrick Mahomes.
Aaron Rodgers to the Brahmas. What a trade!
Now this could be huge though with all this free agency stuff going on. Somebody not getting picked up. I wonder if
Be like, I'll just join the XFL right now.
Right.
If I can play.
I wonder if somebody will get picked up,
I doubt
or
it.
if you can.
Simply
I don't know.
because they're in their
Well-
off season, so they're like, eh.
Here's what I will tell you.
Now that would be crazy.
No, he's broke. He's broke. He's making broke body wise. He's making way too much money behind a microphone. What I will say is, we need a quarterback bad. If we had a quarterback, like we got some receivers to do it. We got the other pieces. We just don't have a general. We don't have a guy that can. And Jack Cohn's not mobile at all. At all. Is that all? Is that all the scores?
Yep, but this weekend, Saturday, Sea Dragons take on the Guardians at 12 p.m. on ABC. FX or ESPN Plus, Battlehawks play Dillon's Vipers at 6 p.m. on Saturday. Sunday, like he said, at 2 p.m., Brahmas versus the Renegades. And Monday night, XFL matchup at 6 p.m., Roughnecks and Defenders on ESPN2. So that's going to be a good pack. I think the Monday night game with the Roughnecks and Defenders is going to be the game of the week.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Fun weekend on top of more March Madness. I do want to drop something here for the fans at home that are still listening. Dill, you're going to love this.
This is pretty cool.
Not this week's episode of Box Truck Talk, but next week's episode of Box Truck Talk. We have none other than left guard for the Vegas Vipers, Matt Miller, joining the show.
Wow,
Gonna be huge.
that's awesome.
Gonna be huge.
We're pretty excited. That was gonna be awesome. So
It's gonna be a lot of fun. So if you're still listening, don't tell anybody.
we're ready.
It's coming though.
It's coming.
Fired up. So all right, let's touch World Baseball Classic real quick.
Touch it up.
And it might not be real quick. I mean, shoot, there's a lot that's happened.
Brayton on fire.
Hey,
Just grand slam he hit. 4 home runs in the tournament is the most by an American player ever. So kudos to that guy. Really putting the stars and stripes on his back while he rounds the bases and touches home to give the USA the lead the other night. So
The dude's a baller.
yep, that's all he is.
So tried and true. I'm obviously a USA fan, but I have some ties to Venezuela.
Yep.
Doesn't matter how the ties tie in. So I do like Venezuela. Obviously, they lost to USA, which is awesome for USA. But let's talk about how good Venezuela was.
Yeah.
really good. Salvi,
Dude, Salvi's playing like he's
mid-season.
28 again.
Yeah,
Yep.
So
really good.
maybe that's a good thing for the Royals. Now, I did find it pretty cool. They were playing the DR, I want to say, in pool play. And Salvi was hitting, and MJ Melendez was catching. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty cool. But yeah, and the other crazy thing about this is how many guys that are not in the MLB are playing, because that's like for instance the guy from Nicaragua who probably doesn't even speak English. Obviously heard of the MLB, but never been maybe to the United States. Is now on roster with somebody.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Anyway, America won or USA won last night. They played
Cuba.
Cuba. Yes. It wasn't close, was it?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
14-2.
Yeah, USA ran with it. China plays Mexico.
Japan.
Japan.
Japan
No,
and Mexico.
Japan and Mexico. Yeah. Sorry, got it mixed up. That's on me. Japan plays
Tiny.
Mexico tonight, and the bad thing is Otani may not be the best pitcher on the team, which is kind of cool. They have a guy that throws like 102.9.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing about the U.S. is Lance Wayno picked it up against Cuba.
So here's my question. When is the game?
They haven't not released yet. I was looking at that. The game tonight,
No.
U.S.
When
I don't know.
when is the championship game?
They have not. I was looking at that.
Gotta be
earlier.
next weekend or no?
You would think so. Oh, no. Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
Tuesday.
So USA
tomorrow.
doesn't play again. Oh shit, that is tomorrow. USA plays again tomorrow.
I think USA's announced their starter.
Who?
I can't remember. It wasn't.
Hopefully it's not Bard. He might come in and
It was
wreck
not.
some shop for the Houston Astros again.
It wasn't, and it wasn't Brady Singer. I can't remember who it was. It wasn't a big
looking it up.
name guy.
Well, they need to figure out how the hell they're going to get a big name guy in there. Because the stuff that they're pulling right now.
I think the next time this happens, I think they will. I think there'll be some pitchers that end up doing it.
Well, the thing that everybody says is they're just not in form at that
Right.
point in the year. And these other teams are because everybody else plays winter ball other than us.
But I think if you get a group of, obviously you're probably never going to get DeGrom. You're probably never going to get Verlander. But if you can get a group of like Corbin Burns or Woodruff or, those type of guys, obviously Burns is really good, and you can put a group of them together and then have a really good bullpen where you can manage them to where they don't have to throw 70 pitches. You can throw all of them 50. And it's not necessarily mid-season. It's just kind of a warm-up type deal. But, yeah, I mean, we lost to Mexico because Brady Singer was not it. He had a horrible inning. And he ended the year, but I think Brady Singer's really good. I'm not saying that. But he ended the year really good last year for the Royals. But we have a lot of better options out there that could throw. And I understand pitching is the only. But Nolan Arenado said it after they beat Cuba. He says there's no excuse for superstars not playing in the World Baseball Classic. But
And I agree with that. And a lot of people are saying you can get hurt.
you see what happened to Edwin Diaz. But he didn't even get hurt playing.
No.
So
I'm not saying he's a dumbass for what happened. It could happen to anybody. It could
Right.
happen to me walking out of the office right now.
yeah.
But you also risk that same thing going to a spring training game and throwing one inning.
Yeah, people get hurt in that.
You're
Yeah,
not.
but
You're
here-
probably not celebrating afterwards, but
You're playing baseball.
You're playing
anyway,
baseball.
so might as well play for your country.
I agree, but here's the thing that could be different. When you have, like, if I'm like an owner and I have legitimate stake built in someone like DeGrom, Garrett Cole, our big superstars that are pitchers, because let's be honest, those are really the biggest superstars that we're missing out on is pitching.
Oh yeah.
If you're a pitcher and like they get paid a lot of money to throw a baseball, they are more injury prone than other positions. There's probably somewhere in their contract or something that says if you get hurt in a spring training game, you still will receive money because you are still playing for our organization. There's probably also a clause in there that says if you get hurt elsewhere, you will receive none of the money. So if
Well, I know for a fact there is, and here's the deal, and I don't know about how the big league contracts are written, but I know for a fact the minor league guys, because when I was over there, they had multiple guys and it's a written up system. You can get written up, basically is how it works. We'd have guys that would go play basketball at the Y, or they go, and if the wrong people heard about it, you're getting written up.
That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, if you're Jacob DeGrom and you're supposed to get $18 million for this season, and they're like, we understand if you get hurt playing in a spring training game, we'll still give you $9 million because you'll get half of what you should have received because you're playing for us still. Whether that numbers are true or even
that's where the
close to being
guaranteed, non-guaranteed thing comes in.
Yeah. And or if they say, but if you play in the World Baseball Classic or something like that, and you get hurt, you're getting zero. Are you really risking $9 to $18 million?
No, and I think that's why we would never get DeGrom or someone like that.
Well, and here's my rebuttal. We talked about this a little bit this morning. I think it means more to the other countries.
100%.
They interviewed him, and they said that means more to him than winning a World Series.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because a lot of these kids, I call them kids, they're grown adults, but a lot of these guys come from nothing. Like they're literally, out in the jungle in Venezuela or in the jungle in the DR, and they're playing out in an open field with a stick and a rock or something, maybe whatever they got shipped to them from the United States that year. Barely a glove or a glove that's gotten passed down from their grandpa. And once they make it to the league and make that first batch of money, they've made it, and now they need to give everything back to where they came from. So I think that's why it means something more to the guys that aren't from the United States. No, every situation isn't exactly like that.
Right.
But I don't think it means as much to the U.S. players because they were supposed to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were supposed to be in the show. They were supposed to be doing this and that. So, and I'm not saying it doesn't mean something to the U.S. players. It obviously means something. It's awesome if we go on and win tomorrow night. It's going to be huge. But I think, you saw how much emotion Edwin Diaz had with the team after they won. I don't know. And KU, Jesus. USA is going to celebrate, but I don't know that it's going to be. It's not going to mean as much. I think winning a World Series means way more.
We'll just watch the Venezuela pitcher after he strikes out Kyle Tucker. That dude's out there screaming. Everything he had after that. Mm-hmm. And then the next inning, Trey Turner hits a grand slam, and the pitcher's out there. He chucks his glove on the ground. You don't see that in an MLB game. You don't see that in the playoffs.
Well, and the other thing not a lot of people are talking about, at least I haven't heard it. We talked about it with a guy that works here at work with us. The environment.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's literally like a World Cup soccer game in there.
Yeah.
The people beating on shit, noisemakers for days. It's a freaking environment.
It's cool.
And a half.
Their seat neighbor.
Yeah.
Like a drum.
Yeah. But
don't let the Astros in there.
Ooh.
Nice. And if they will,
I'm surprised anybody can win in there. Isn't that where the Marlins play?
We'll just hit him in the wrist.
Ouch.
What do you mean?
The Marlins are terrible.
Yeah.
Anywho, that's all I got. You guys got anything left? Anything else going big in this weekend of sports?
No, it was a good week of sports. Great week of sports.
I will say I haven't talked to either of these boys about it, but we will be having a box truck talk MLB fantasy draft.
Come on.
Probably only going to run it through. We'll probably run it for 6 to 8 weeks. People lose interest once the dog days this summer get here. Anyhow, if you are interested, let us know. You can find a way to get in contact and possibly get you in our draft.
In the league.
In the league, yeah. In our league. But I will tell you, spots are limited. Obviously, 3 are already taken up. But we appreciate you guys tuning in. Load back in this week because we think we're on the hook with a possible guest. He just texted me back during the show, so we're on the hook with a possible guest for this Friday, who's big time, like big time, even bigger than the Vegas Vipers guy. So we will see you back on Friday. We appreciate everything you guys do. Remember, subscribe. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on TikTok. And then be on the lookout on Friday for us. We appreciate it. Later.
Cats.
Go Cats.